Jimmy. Good evening there. And of course, just now, as you all know, Emmitt Smith and Jerry Rice just went to the Hall of Fame, and so I just want to send a special, this video is just a special congratulations to both of them, men who were giants, both on and off the field, two legends, two of the greatest ever, of their position, just all time, period. Because Jerry Rice, the man was phenom. There'll never ever be another receiver to do, never be another receiver that can duplicate what this man was able to do. So, of course, even though I'm talking about Rice, obviously I have on my Emmitt jersey, So, but this is a video, just to balance things out. I've yet to get a Jerry jersey yet, but just to talk about, both of them. Those are two of my favorite players, of all time. Two of the best players that I've ever seen, in my era. Because even though I'm 21, I at least know something, at least remember, at least a glimpse of, what Emmitt and Jerry did, because they were the two of the key, the core players, as far as their offense goes. Emmitt Smith, of course, the head, as far as the running game, he was the final piece to the Cowboys puzzle on offense with the Triplets. And of course Jerry Rice, with the San Francisco 49ers, he had two tremendous quarterbacks, Joe Montana and Steve Young. And as far as, how can I say, as far as Rice and Emmitt, they're both, I think this is like the first time, I think, in history that 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 two players who are the all-time leaders in in their particular positions, have been inducted into the Hall of Fame together. Jerry, the all-time receiving leader, Emmitt, the all-time rushing leader. And as far as now, I'm going to balance out, like I said, with Emmitt Smith. I say this. When we're talking about Emmitt Smith, the first thing that when it comes to Emmitt Smith, probably the first thing that comes to mind is probably the first word that comes to mind is determination. Determination / toughness. And despite Emmitt's size, 5'9", 5'9.5", maybe 205 or something like that, coming out of Florida, there were a lot of people, looked down on him, because of that, because he wasn't. Even though Emmitt has already said himself, countless times that he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't, he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the fastest, But at the same time, he was tremendously determined, tremendously tough, and see that work ethic. And not only that, another thing that comes to mind when talking about Emmitt Smith is consistency. He is one of the few running backs, I think, that I've ever seen, probably like the main running back that I've ever seen that had that much consistency, from his rookie year, even into his later years. So he was somebody that was really groundbreaking. And and one of the key games that really sticks out in my mind, when it comes to Emmitt Smith, is that game at the end of the night, at like the last game of the '93 season, against the Giants, where we really needed, where we really needed that win to, to clinch home field advantage and repeat as Super Bowl champions. That was, during Super Bowl 28. That was during that season. So and so Emmitt, the fact that he had that many yards, like 165 something yards or whatever, and like 70 something of receiving yards with a dislocated shoulder, and Emmitt, to this day, when he talks about it, he could still make that cracking sound. It's like, almost as if he was just playing that game already. And but the fact that he played basically with a broken arm, he was a warrior. Emmitt was truly a warrior, and he had a tremendous offensive line. And sure, everybody wants to talk about comparing Emmitt Smith to Barry Sanders. I definitely respect Barry Sanders. Barry was a tremendous. He was a great running back and everything. He has a speed advantage over Emmitt. But like I said, when it came to that consistency, when it came to that sheer sheer determination. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep on going. And I think that I think that's what really separated Emmitt, from somebody like Barry. All due respect to Barry. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, look at Emmitt. Of course, at the end of the day, Emmitt was still at least good enough, at least productive enough, to help the Cowboys, to help out the Cowboys offense and win those 3 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? Despite his lack of speed and some of the other stuff, at least Emmitt, was still, like I said, was still productive enough, to get 3 Super Bowls and an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. And as far as as far as the like when it comes to that Cowboys, that triplets, that team, it was just the total package, from the 90s. I think that was like Dallas's greatest era, to date. You know what I'm saying? If not of all time, their run from 91 and 95 with those 3 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? With a tremendous coach, a master psychologist in Jimmy Johnson, and of course, he had a general, in a floor leader like Troy Aikman. You had, he represented the class. Michael Irvin, of course, the playmaker, represented the passion. Somebody who was a tremendous threat, in that passing game. You know what I'm saying? He caused a lot of problems, as far as cornerbacks. And of course, in the backfield, you look at Emmitt. The man was a workhorse. You know what I'm saying? And of course, he had a great fullback in Moose Johnson in that huge offensive line. Along with the defense to balance things out. We had the #1 defense. For a while, especially like when we won that first Super Bowl. Anytime you have, we had Ken Norton Jr., Charles Haley, Darren Woodson. And this is even before Dion even came. You know what I'm saying? We had such a stacked line. Leon Lett, Russell Maryland, all these different type of guys. All together. You know what I'm saying? To balance out our offense, along with the special teams that we had. Teams, with all due respect, didn't even have a chance. I think, if Dallas wasn't as great, if we weren't as great as we were in the 90s, Jerry Rice would have had at least 5, 6 rings. You know what I'm saying? So and like I said, with us, the way we gelled, the way we had that chemistry, Michael, Troy, Emmitt, and the rest of that team, the way we handled ourselves, we knew already that that we had to have everybody, even if one falls. Even if one falls, everybody else, is gonna have, is gonna feel the effect of it, and so that's how close we were, and and that's what separated us from everybody else. You know what I'm saying? With that, it was just nothing but a well-oiled machine, and of course I'm going to talk about San Francisco too. And the 49ers, as far as their game, any team other than the Cowboys, San Francisco was going to put a whooping on them anyway. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was Montana to Rice, Young to Rice, then then they had a great running game with Roger Craig, Ricky Waters, that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? All those different components. You know what I'm saying? I think the Niners run from 81 to 94 were their greatest years of all time. You know what I'm saying? So and like I said, the 2 best franchises that I've seen are the 90s Cowboys and the 80s 49ers, and third would at least be the 70s Steelers. At least all in that, because all I gotta say is all 3 of those teams, just straight knocked the daylights out of New England anyway. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother time. But I just want to say, a special shout out to Emmitt. Just that type of courage they got, like him and Jerry Rice. 2 guys who have tremendous class, who are great as far as conditioning, great as far as work ethic, guys who would put that 110, 120, 200%, you name it. I can still, like when I think about Jerry Rice, I could probably close my eyes right now and see him, in that 94 NFC Championship game against us. You know what I'm saying? And the way, the way he pretty much manhandled our secondary. I could almost still have nightmares. I'm getting ready to do a part 2 in a minute and just close this thing out.